men say that they are women are a favorite of the court. Well, the data also says that it is, I think, some 80, it's between 86 and 92% of women who do the majority of the household chores and childbearing. And we all do the childbearing ourselves, but they then take care of the kids. The majority of women does most of the work for the kids. And you can be a great dad, but just because you know how to play with your kids and you have a good relationship with your kid doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing all the work. So the data shows that women work, I think it's an average of 20 to 30 hours more in the household. So when there is an advantage in the court, perceived advantage, I mean, as much as you can think it is an advantage of doing all the work, then of course the court says, well, who does most of the work? And then who does most of the work gets awarded the majority of custody of the children. And when a woman gives up her career, which happens a lot, and there is hard data on what's called a gap year for women when women are taking time off to raise not their children, but your children, and men don't take time off, but women do take time off, then suddenly there's a gap year in between, and women have a hard time to re-enter the market at the same salary because they gave that up. They gave up that career trajectory for the purpose of having children. So when they are going through a divorce and money is being separated or custody payments are awarded, that's what the court looks at. So is that in favor of women? Well, it really depends. I mean, women are mostly caretaker of the children. That doesn't mean that some men don't do that, but you are not even in the double digits. You are in the single digits. So if there's like 6% of men are doing that, and 94%, or even if it's 8% of men, and 92%, or let's be generous, let's assume that there's 25% of men are doing it, and 75% of women are doing it, you are, as a man, an absolute minority when it comes to chipping in the majority of the work at home. That's just the way it is. And on whether you like that or not is irrelevant because the courts look at the facts of what the data shows. And there's formulas in a divorce that is being looked at. The kids are being interviewed, the nannies, the family, whatever, and they decide what is best for the children. And what's best for the children is not always, a man not having to pay. The court looks at it and says, what is the lifestyle that the kids had before and what is the lifestyle that the kids should be having now? And if you really look at what happens to women who are divorced, who had taken time off or trying to re-enter work, they are generally having a lot smaller salaries, but they do the majority of the stuff for the kids. So they have the higher expenses. So, you kind of really need to look at that and say, well, these are my children. So if you want to take care of your children and you raise them like a single dad and they're the majority with you, then of course you can pay the majority. You might be able to get away with a lesser fee. But we, when we look at this, are men equal or is there discrepancy right now? I really urge you to really look at the data because the data doesn't lie. Okay. Well, are all women amazing? No, of course not. We have, of course, also women in there that are getting divorces and they're going for everything in the jugular and they're mad and they're angry. So, of course, there are instances where not every woman is an angel. But from what I have seen, and I have seen quite a few of my friends divorce with children, and I will tell you in almost all of the cases, the woman is the one who keeps the majority, who keeps the kid, does the majority of the work, and then has to find a job that pays a lot less what she used to work. And, she's scrambling kind of to try to make this happen. So just keep that in mind. So what should men do? Become an advocate. Become an advocate and ask for some of the same things that you want. Maybe you need to be asking for a father year off so you can also have a choice of taking time off to be with your child. And I think that would really help with equality. And, once more men are taking care of children and are the primary caregiver and not women, I believe that it will also shift in the court. But we need to look at the facts. Being angry just to be angry and going, women, and making hateful comments, it's really not going to help anything because the data is what the data is, and that's what the courts are looking at. So my name is Beate Gillette. I'm the founder and the creator of the Women's Code, and I am a trainer, a corporate trainer. I bring the ROI of balanced leadership to organizations, and I help teams understand what viewpoints men and women bring to the table, because we value both. Because after all, that's what we need. We need a good balance. Thank you.